Hey guys, thanks for joining me for another Dissidia Final Fantasy Opera Omnia video, and today we're going to do a should you pull on the next banner, which is Enna Kros FR. So in this video I'm going to kind of talk about the characters that are featured on that banner, and talk about if you should summon for Enna Kros or not. So Enna Kros should be dropping with Reno and Rude as side characters, and then obviously Rain's BT will be there along for the ride, right? So Reno and Rude, I wouldn't really worry about them as being side characters. I guess the one thing for Reno is maybe for some reason if you got his FR on a free pull but you don't have the rest of his kit, this would be another chance to get it. Reno is severely outclassed though by other off-turn FRs, right? So the thing that was so cool about Reno initially was that his FR was like the first one that was really good for like defense comps. But the thing with his FR is it really relies, I believe, on being dealt physical damage. So if you're not being dealt physical damage, you really can't use his FR, and he himself isn't a counter character. So, you know, FRs like Minwoo and Celis and Core like severely outclass Reno. So Reno really is, I feel like, a non-factor right now. And so obviously if you don't have his FR, you definitely don't need to pull here unless you just want him for like his LD call or something like that. But like Reno isn't a character that I think people are going to be using a lot right now anyways, right? Rude, he's just like solid, right? Like Rude is, he's really like, he's all healing and battery. Like that's really what Rude's kit is just heal and battery, heal and battery, heal and battery. He doesn't have an FR or anything crazy like that. He would just be kind of like a support standing character if you need that, but there are way, way better supports in the game. So I don't think Reno or Rude are really worth summoning for here. So the only reason you would summon for those is if you're going for Enna Kros. So Enna Kros obviously would be the main prize of this banner, and that's the main thing that people would want to be looking at here as to whether they should summon or not. So Enna Kros, the thing with Enna Kros, she's a very unique character. I think she's a very cool character, and she does carry like some very unique elements. I believe, well, she has Dark, and I think she has Holy. I believe with her upgrade she gets Holy. I could be wrong on that, but I want to say Dark and Holy, but for sure has Dark damage, which isn't like the most common thing in the game. And she's basically known as being a big time damage dealer, and she does this through some very specific buffs. She summons this big old mega god to come out and do damage, and it's kind of an interesting mechanic because she basically has a summon whose stats scale off of her stats, so you make her stats good and then the summon stats are better, but the summon is really the thing doing the damage. Kind of unique. I think the big thing with Enna Kros, like her big gimmick, is that her EX has a very powerful mechanic in that it can delete turns. And deleting turns isn't the most common thing. So the thing with her EX is it does a ton of damage, and it deletes turns, which is super awesome. The bad part about it is her EX recharge is very slow, and she delays herself when using it. The way she offsets that is in her kit, she has a skill that has like a 20% chance just to like give her EX gauge filled, something like that, right? So she has a chance to just like instantly refill it, which is kind of cool. You could also pair her with somebody like Lude who can just like charge it back up for her. But really her EX is like one of her big damaging moves, right? And it deletes turns, which is really cool. Now there are some fights where deleting turns is bad, some where the enemies resist it. You maybe can't count it all the time, so it's really up to you if you like that or not. And for her FR condition, it revolves around doing Dark and Holy damage, right? So Enna Kros herself, she enchants herself for Dark and Holy, so she's going to be having both of those damages there. So I don't know that any of her attacks inherently do Holy, because if I remember right, I don't think Enna Kros had any Holy at all in her previous kit. I could be wrong. But I think she at least enchants herself for Holy now, so like she's going to get Holy and Dark. The whole idea is that you'd have Enna Kros doing Holy and Dark, which each element gives you 20%, and then you get another 40%, I believe, for just dealing max brave damage over your cap, which is a fairly easy one to fill. So Enna Kros essentially would be getting 80% per shot, but she doesn't enchant the other allies for Holy at least. So you would maybe have to enchant the other allies in a different way. Bottom line with Enna Kros is she herself is a very good damage dealer. Still wouldn't, I say, be on the level of, say, like a Tifa Renoa. I really should be throwing Vaughn and Reigns into that mix as well, because like Tifa, Vaughn, and Reigns, I feel like all put up like very competitive damage together as like single target damage dealers. So I would say like Tifa, Vaughn, and Reigns, they're like all kind of in the same vein, right? And then Renoa's just on her own planet as like AoE like ridiculousness. Enna Kros still does really, really good damage. But I would say if you have any of those other big time damage dealers, you're probably not going to need Enna Kros unless you really are clamoring that you want like a dark damage dealer. Because like dark and holy, like they're not the most common elements, and they're elements that I typically struggle for. So I'm glad that I have Enna Kros. I don't know if I'm going to pull for, like me personally, I'm probably going to skip her FR. Now my resources are looking a little better since we just had the whatchamacallit, the thing with the level 50 summon where we got a bunch of resources. So I'm back up to like 250k gems and I've got like 600-700 tickets. So maybe I'll throw some tickets down, but I'm not going to go like super heavy for it. We'll see. I do kind of like Enna Kros, and here's the thing though. This is kind of what Enna Kros is, and it's one of these characters where like, I remember when she came out the last time, I'm like, oh, she's really cool. She does a lot of damage. She deletes turns. I literally used her for her fight and then just never used her again. And I feel like that's the type of character she is, that unless you really make an effort to like make sure she's on your team, she's never going to be like the first unit that comes to your mind as a DPS. So I would say that's probably the biggest problem with Enna Kros, is there's just better units at DPS that are maybe a little bit simpler to play, a little bit easier to play. I mean, she's not like crazy complicated, but she's got some buffs you got to upkeep. You got to pay attention to what you're doing with the Omega God and stuff. Pay attention to when you want to delete turns. Sometimes the EX will pop, sometimes it won't, you know, depending on how that recharge works. She's just there, you know, you could say, okay, I'm going to take that Enna Kros, or I'm just going to take Tifa and do Unga Bunga damage like really easily, right? So it really depends on what type of player you are and what you like. But for me personally, I wouldn't really recommend players to summon on this. Also because I feel like the side characters aren't the strongest either. There isn't a ton of value on this banner, to be honest. Not that any of the characters are bad. Like, we talk about this all the time. You invest in a character default, they're all good, right? They're all going to be good enough. But I would say when we do these should you pulls, it's like for players that are free to play, low on resources, want the best bang for their buck, this definitely isn't the banner to get that. I would say the next target you should be looking at really would be probably either Yuna or Jack Garland. And I think Jack Garland should be the banner after Yuna. I'm expecting Jack Garland like right at the tail end of December. Because I think Yuna's comes out like December 23rd or something like that. And I expect Jack Garland to be like within a week of that. That's kind of my expectation. Now, obviously we won't know for sure till the community stream. They could throw a wrench in that. But that's where I'm expecting. At the very latest, Garland would be like New Year's or something like that, right? Like very beginning of January. So those are the type, because like you look at it this way, it's like, yeah, Rude is a very good support unit, right? Yuna is like 10 times better than Rude and has a BT and FR to go with it. With Rude, I mean, he's low invest, so like if you need a low investment option, sure, Rude's fine because he's LD only. But Yuna is just going to be far and away a better support character, has a lot more into her kit. You know, and there's other characters that have come out. And obviously Reno, he's just completely outclassed at this point. There's really no reason to use him. So anyways, guys, I'm just rambling at this point, but bottom line is I do not recommend player summon on this banner. You can let me know what you all think. You can let me know if you're pulling. Like I said, I might throw a few tickets just because I've got a lot for the FR, but we'll see. So anyways, guys, thanks for watching. We'll catch y'all on the next one.